During our visit, we met one of the staunch supporters of Armenia and Armenian people, Ambassador John Evans, who graciously agreed to share with us his thoughts about the exhibition and answer some broader questions about Armenia and Armenian politics today.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Of course, it is clear to all of us that an exhibition like this cannot happen on its own. And it requires tremendous amount of support and dedication of many people to bring something so magnificent together in Library of Congress, which is a humongous achievement in its own right. I want you to talk to me a little bit about the exhibition as a whole, your opinion about it.
Well, let me start with the point that you just made about the people who helped make this happen. There's something very interesting here. First of all, you have to have the collection. Everything on display here is from the holdings, the permanent holdings of the Library of Congress. But in addition, this is a public-private partnership because it has gotten significant support from members of the Armenian American community here, notably Rita Balian, and also Roger and Julie Kulhanjian Strauch, who are from California. And they have underwritten the costs. Many of the costs. Of course, some of the costs were borne by the library. And then, of course, this could not have happened without the very fine expert we are lucky to have, Levon Avdoyan, who also wrote the catalog. And the catalog is really one of the best I've seen of any exhibit like this.
What is the significance of this exhibition being presented here?
Well, you mentioned the location. The location is not only in the main building of the Library of Congress, the Jefferson Building, but it is just adjacent to the original Jefferson Library, which is one of the greatest holdings that we have. For many Americans who don't know much about Armenia, this may be their first taste of the culture, particularly the book culture. And the timing of this, of course, is special because Yerevan has been named the book capital of the world by UNESCO. So everything came together very nicely. And we hope that through your film and through the electronic presentation, this exhibit will live on and be accessible to many more people.
What is your favorite item in this exhibition?
Well, I happen to like the 18th century very much. And behind us here, is the first, what is considered the first history of the Armenian people by Father Chamchan. And he's a favorite of mine because he had the following theory, that we know the Garden of Eden was in Armenia, and we know that Adam spoke to God, therefore God must have spoken Armenian. Then you could take the next step and assume that God was Armenian. That was his theory in any case. And on the first page that's exhibited here, you can actually see a depiction of Haik and of Mount Ararat with Noah's Ark sitting on top of it. And so I particularly, I always come to this spot when I visit the exhibit.
Mr. Ambassador, because we don't have an opportunity to have a discussion with you on a regular basis, I want to take this opportunity and ask a few more questions, broader questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Obviously, there are two issues that are very much in the minds of all Armenians around the world, and the one is the issue of Armenian genocide. Your position is well known, but unfortunately, as of now, the United States government does not officially recognize the Armenian genocide. What do you think will take for that to change?
First of all, I think there has been an evolution in the position of the United States government on this question. Now, even in 2005, when I said what I said in California, even in those days, we made the absolutely true statement that no American official has ever denied the facts of what happened in 1915. The U.S. government position has been not to use the word genocide, which, as you know, is a relatively new word for a very old phenomenon. But if you look at President Obama's statement in 2009, the first one he made on April 24th of that year, you will see that it differs very significantly from all previous statements, and it takes us a lot closer to what scholars today now know is the truth about 1915 through 1923.
Another subject is an issue that we're facing in modern times. It's a subject of Nagorno-Karabakh. As you know, even though the situation is somewhat stable now, and Nagorno-Karabakh itself has developed economically and politically, the status quo remains. Yeah. And it's still a volatile region, and recently, obviously, there's been events that emphasized how dangerous the situation, how explosive the situation is. How do you see this issue being resolved? Where do you see this going?
First of all, I do know and have been following very closely the events that you've been talking about, including the recent transfer from Hungary to Azerbaijan of the Safarov, Mr. Safarov, who committed an atrocious murder of an Armenian military officer in Budapest back in 2004. And I must say, I think that was a terribly cynical move, and it has not improved the chances for a peaceful resolution. I do believe, one, that there is no military solution to that problem. I believe there must be a negotiated and peaceful solution. I do believe that it's the task of the Minsk group mediators has been made more difficult by recent events. But I think another enduring problem is that neither the government in Baku nor the government in Yerevan has talked enough to the population about the degree of compromise that is going to be necessary to reach a just and lasting and legal solution. Because really this is about the people of Karabakh preserving their rights, their ability to travel, to live normal lives, but also respecting the rights of everyone in the region. The Caucasus has enormous potential. And this conflict going on unresolved it detracts from what the Caucasus could be in a better world. So I think we have to stick with the Minsk process because there is no better forum at this point, but we have to be clear there's no military solution possible and that it has to be negotiated, but that both sides in the end are going to have to compromise, and it's not easy.
Are you optimistic that Armenia is heading towards a brighter future? Where do you see the future of the country?
I was back in Armenia just a year ago after 5 years' absence, and I must say I saw a terrific evolution since those days in a positive direction. I think the young generation in Armenia has tremendous potential. They're doing all sorts of things, and I do think that the future is bright. I just hope that some of these other issues do not loom so large as to pose obstacles for the way forward for Armenia.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for this interview.
My pleasure.
Thank you for coming to our show.
Good to see you.
Thank you.